Welcome to Timeless Personal Growth and Development. In today's video, guys, I'm going to be discussing screen times and why it's harmful for your children when you put them in front of a screen all the time. Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Parents will almost default themselves when they want their child occupied, when they're busy doing something and the baby is bothering them and they need their focus on something else. So what do? They need to keep them occupied. So what's the automatic reaction? Put them in front of a screen. Put them in front of a TV. Throw on Netflix. Give them a tablet. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it when you have a young toddler at home and you gotta jump in the shower for 10 minutes and you turn on the TV, turn on Netflix for 10 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. It becomes an issue when children, especially as they get older, their default reaction to filling in those in-between moments. And when I say in-between moments, I say those moments when you're not doing anything. When there's nothing to do, when you're waiting for the bus, when you're waiting in a dentist's office. What's everybody's automatic reaction? I go check my phone. I take off the phone, I gotta check. That's everybody's reaction. And when you train your children to be in front of a screen, stimulate their brain by throwing a tablet at them from a very young age, it conditions their brain to constantly feed into that dopamine hit over and over and over again. And we as adults, we do the exact same goddamn thing all the time. We're always looking for the next dopamine hit from that phone. And we have those in-between moments when we're not doing anything, we're not occupied, we're not talking to anybody, and we will sometimes avoid social interaction with other people because why? Because we're not used to it. We haven't developed our social skills to be able to talk to people, so we always default by going to our phone. And when you throw screens at children at a young age, and you can start at a really young age, like a toddler age, like my son's in the other room. He's almost 4 months, and how much time has he spent in front of the screen? Maybe like 10-15 minutes. Well, in the first year, 2 years of their life, babies shouldn't be in front of a screen. They should have toys. Yes, they should be toys. Should be playing with toys, stimulating their brain, but stimulating their brain without the need for a screen. The blue light you get from a screen that goes into your eyes and affects your brain. This is why a lot of people have trouble sleeping at night, because they spend hours and hours before bed on their phone, and the light that goes into your eyes and into your brain, that light from your phone, from a TV, from a computer, from a phone, will actually send signals into your brain and will prevent you from falling asleep effectively. I remember listening to a podcast and they're saying there's like neurons and chemicals in the brain that stay activated when you're on your phone, and that light from your phone keeps those, I forget the exact word for it, but keeps those neurons activated and prevents you from falling asleep a lot quicker than what you should, and affects kids in the exact same way. Kids grow up now, I forget the generation, but I'm a millennial. I grew up with a screen. Yes, I grew up with screen time. And I remember back in my hardcore video game days, I remember how you'd spend your entire day, 8 hours playing video games on the screen. And when you walk out at the end of that day, man, I'd feel depressed, like lazy, cathartic, just like you literally feel like a zombie because you spent so much time in front of that screen. And if you spend your day outside, spending outside with other people out in the woods, you feel tired, but in a good way. And yeah, I spent the majority of my teen years playing video games, 8 hours when I had nothing to do that day. And don't what are you really gaining from, what are you developing any kind of skill from that? You're not. It's just entertainment, and you're just looking for the next dopamine hit. And we now millennials who are now becoming parents. I'm a parent myself now, and we grew up with screens. And how do we want to train our kids now to if grow up in front of the screen? I sure don't want my son to be spending his time in front of a screen. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it just needs to be regulated effectively, properly. And it's your job as a parent, as your child, to regulate that screen time. Go out and have activities with your kids. Go out and do a challenging activity that doesn't involve being in front of a screen. And even if you are playing, nothing wrong with playing video games with your kids, but do it together as an activity, and don't do it every single day. Do it as a reward for yourself and for your child. Oh, we worked hard today. I went to work, you went to school, you worked really hard. Great, awesome. Now, let's reward ourselves. Let's order a pizza tonight, and let's play some video games together and work together, play games together. There's no better bonding moment that I've had with my friends when we're playing Call of Duty together. We have a blast. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's engaging. It still becomes a social activity when you're playing with someone else. And nothing wrong with that, but it just needs to be properly and effectively regulated. And you need to watch your kids and how much time they're spending. And don't raise a tablet toddler. Don't start putting your kids in front of screens at a very young age, because then their brains are going to start to default to screens all the time. Then they're going to get to kindergarten age, and they're going to get to grade 1 and grade 2. And what do we do? Relaxing at the end of the day, a long day, and we've done our responsibilities. We always want to default to our phone. And yes, I still do it. And I hate it sometimes. It bothers me. I still do it. But we got to set the example for our kids. I'll share this little story. When my son was about a month old, this is back in March, and I was feeding him. I had him on my lap, and I was trying to feed him, and I had my phone in my right hand and had the bottle in my left, and I was trying to position myself, but I was trying to hold the phone and swipe through YouTube at the same time, and struggling to position my hand with a bottle because I was too busy, and I got upset with myself. I'm like, God damn it, put the goddamn phone down. Focus on feeding your kid. Who cares what's going on in that damn phone? And I just threw the phone on the couch. I said, screw it. But that's the example you set for him. He's young, can't process anything yet, not understanding exactly what's going on, but kids are going to see that. If kids see mommy and daddy always on their phone, they're going to adopt that behavior too. And that's going to affect their development, and that's going to affect their social skills as well. Kids will do what you do. They'll follow your example. So if you're defaulting to your phone all the time, every time you have those in-between moments and you're defaulting to your phone, your kids are going to do the exact same thing. When you want your kids occupied because they're talking or asking a million questions or bothering you when you have to focus on another task, here, take my phone, play something. It's okay for your kids to be bored. It's okay for them to not feel engaged, or it's okay for them to think of creative ways to keep themselves entertained. That's part of being a kid. Is get out there, play with a stick, play with a rock, go be bored for an hour. That's fine. You don't need the constant stimulation, the constant dopamine hit of being in front of a phone all the time. And as the millennial generation are starting to have kids, we already struggle with that screen time addiction, but we don't want to, if that doesn't get solved, doesn't get fixed, and then we don't model that proper behavior, what do you think our kids' generation is going to be like with phones? A million times worse. So we got to be aware, and we got to regulate our screen time that our kids go through. It has to start by trying to regulate ourselves first, because we grew up with those screens, you know. Our grandparents did, baby boomers generation didn't, but we did. So we got to be careful. We got to be aware of that, because at the end of the day, number one important aspect to our kids and their development is their mental health. And phones and screens does it does create addiction, and it does create stress and depression and anxiety, and we got to be aware of that, and we got to protect our kids from that. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Timeless personal growth and development. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.